The altar, she supposed, and on it was Hector.
Is the throne empty? Is the king dead? The empire unpossessed?
Off with his head.
You got me going.
All right, we're gonna get right into it. This might be a mini episode, or we might tag it onto a larger episode. But we got more people in this one.
That's right. So we got Dave, John, and special guest, little brother who's 6'8",
Cousin Bolo.
and he weighs 480 pounds.
Yeah, so we're gonna intro Bolo for him because he's probably not gonna brag for himself. But we're proud of Bolo. He's
What
been
do you
in the
weigh,
military.
Bolo?
I bounce between 285, like plus or minus 3 pounds, depending on when I.
Plus or minus 3 pounds. He's got this down to plus or minus 3 pounds. So
He's our little big cousin.
yeah, little big brother, little big cousin.
We got to pick on him before when he was smaller than us, which wasn't very long.
You can't see, we don't have video up yet. We'll have that soon, but he's got a shirt that looks like Hawaiian Punch. He's also half Hawaiian, but it says refreshing throat punch.
Punch, you know?
Share one today. What?
Shout out to Grunt Style. I like those guys, the way their shirts feel. So I support.
Plug.
Plus, yeah, I know I probably should have got paid
No.
for that, but I like the way their shirts feel. Plus, I like
What's
to
it called
support
again?
Military. It's called Grunt Style. Me being a veteran, I like to support other veterans, so I'll buy their stuff.
Grunt Style.
So
He likes their soft.
So his background is he's not gonna brag, but we'll brag for him. He was in the Air Force for how long?
6 years.
Like mechanics, and then
And then in the Army.
overseas security in the Army.
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
So in the Air Force, I was a nuclear missile maintainer, so I just worked on the Minuteman III. And then I swapped to the Army, and I was a human intelligence collector. Sounds scarier than what it is, but you have two facets. You have interrogations, and you have what we call, like, I'll just say field ops or source operations. That was my bread and butter, going outside the wire and talking to the local population. The villages, it was fun.
You did that as a civilian too, right?
Yeah, I did that as a civilian. So I did training analysis for ANA and ISAF forces, 2 different countries. So,
And their shirts are not as comfortable.
no, so you have the Sophie brands which scratch your nipples up, so you get chased.
And we got nipples in this family. all three of us right here. It's a family genetic trait. The forehead,
Very sensitive nipples, by the way.
sensitive and large nipples, and then forehead is caveman style.
Yeah, we can hammer
It's
nails
like
on boards all
antennas.
day.
We got antennas everywhere.
Feelers. My
Yeah.
forehead gets there before me.
It's an extra sense, like a bat.
That's right. And so, as a human intelligence collector, you didn't have a lot to do because you're collecting humans' intelligence, and we actually
Found a deficit.
Yeah, it was crazy because
Yeah.
you have to corroborate stuff, and you have to do a lot of research to make sure that there's no what we call circular reporting going on. So that means that one source is going to 5 different people that do my job and is reporting the same thing. So now you think, oh, I have corroboration, which gives me grounds to create this target package and move on this target. No, you have to actually research that and make sure that that's not happening. So there's a lot behind the scenes. Most cool stuff, you have a bunch of boring, crappy stuff behind it. So
Yeah, so that's way different than what we do. So I want to add another perspective, and then right now, I only know it as electrical engineering, but
That's where you drive an electric train,
yeah, so
an electrical engineer, and then the horn sounds like.
as opposed to the coal or gas. Yeah,
yeah. No, I'm an electrical engineer.
it's like the
I'm
Tesla of trains.
I'm an electrical engineer. I work for aerospace, so I'm still in defense. I didn't want to get away from the bread and butter, but at the same time, I wanted to get paid a little bit more and provide a little bit more security.
A lot more, bro, from the military. Come on now.
Yeah.
Man, our poor soldiers. Luckily, they're all like a lot of them are 18, and that's their
They
first
don't know any
job.
better, yeah.
Yeah.
My first paycheck I received when I was in basic training was like $250 because you know how they give you that stipend, like they front you money and then they act like it's a blessing, but little do you know it's actually
Comes
they
out.
just took it from the back end. Yeah, you'll see that later.
They took it in on the front end.
Yeah, they take it in the very first check. So.
So do you recommend going into the military, and what do you recommend going?
It just depends on what you want to do. For me,
But you should have a long goal, right?
You should.
Or you can
know,
figure
if
it
you're
out on the
18,
way.
19, I didn't have a long goal. I just wanted out of my current situation. You know what I mean? At the time.
We lived in the hood.
And-
Got to get out of the hood.
Yeah, and that was the only way. Like, I played basketball, and I didn't really.
But what's the hood?
We
What
lived
city is
in
that?
There was this crime tagging.
Yeah.
But what's
gangs
is there
everywhere.
a city we can attach to that?
Oh yeah, you can attach a bunch of them. But
Well, it was
if
towards
you
LA,
wanted to-
right? Or
It was
was
San
it-
Fernando.
San Fernando Valley. So it was actually right down the street from where Rodney King
Happened.
the beating.
Yeah.
That whole story. Not at the same time. About a little less than 10 years later. Same area.
So let's give a quick background. I know if you've listened to our earlier podcast, we brag about being half Hawaiian. It's super cool. Bragging about white people not as cool as much anymore, especially right now. You're not allowed to be proud to be white. It's weird. I'm a white man. But then at the same time, I get it. I'm Italian anyways. Like, how white is that?
I don't know, depending on where you're from. It's not very.
Yeah, it's not very like...
Sure.
Yeah. Dave's English, and that's not real white.
Yeah, my last name is English Pursley. Not real white.
It's about as white as you can get, but almost.
Yeah. And our dads were blue-eyed, blonde-haired,
Yeah,
but different Europeans.
but different Europeans, and
Yeah.
I think there's a northern and southern thing there.
We have green eyes because of that. So our moms have brown.
And our moms are twins.
Twins.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
twins,
we,
yeah.
yeah, we
Twins.
referenced that in the first, I think.
Yeah, so all of us
Are half brothers.
Yeah, my mom is their mom's twins. They have identical DNA, half identical.
That's right, yeah. And then Bolo's dad is of color.
Just a regular ass black dude.
He's not regular. He's an irregular. He's an irregular black dude. He was born in Watts, raised in Compton. The coolest motherfucker
Yeah,
everyone
everyone
ever
loves
meet.
Uncle.
Everybody loves him. He's cool as hell. He taught me a lot growing up. I knew him before Bolo knew him because I'm older than Bolo.
That's true.
We call him Bolo. His name's Daryl. Bolo has a very ancient Hawaiian meaning. What is that?
I don't know, man.
Oh, you don't wanna brag?
I'm going to defer to Dave on that one.
You know what it is,
More
Dave?
Historically.
What was it? Auntie Sandy.
Auntie Sandy
Sandy
was
named
changing
me.
his diapers, and she's like, "This cat has gigantic balls." So I guess there's
So now forever we refer to him by his balls.
so
The size thereof.
the size thereof, and I'm gonna have to say that must be on my mom's side. I gotta watch, like, if I don't kind of lift up a little when I flush the toilet, those things will try to go down the drain. You know, this water's cold and deep. I got the white dick though.
You're stupid.
I'm just saying it's average, and by average, averages.
So they're on. So they're on a race to the ground.
Yeah, no, the balls
One's
won.
won,
Like
they
a
won a
long-
while ago.
Yeah, the balls won, and I was like 7, and then the dick just
Race
stayed
is over.
to my 7-year-old age. What are we talking about right now? Oh yeah, Bolo, which is Daryl, but I'm calling him Bolo because that's my brother.
I don't even answer to Daryl. I don't think.
Yeah, it's
Just
weird.
at work.
Just at work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It sounds so formal now.
yeah, it sounds weird. Yeah.
Sounds like I should have a tuxedo on.
Yeah, so his dad, born and raised Watts Compton, he's got a little ghetto in him. You know,
A little
so,
bit. That's an
yeah,
understatement.
that means mom's had a little ghetto in her.
Mom tried to venture out. It's like on the other side of these tracks.
Yeah. So my mom was not racist at all because she was down to try out the whole spectrum. She had a Mexican boyfriend.
Yeah, right
Yeah.
after my dad.
Yeah.
Not right after, but yeah, that was the next.
The progression.
Yeah. So we're just waiting on.
Yeah, right. What's next? Whatever's next. You know, but that's how we were raised. More so on my mom's side, there's no racism. Kids don't see their skin when they're playing with another kid. They see the other kid and they feel, that's what I look like. That's how I am. That's what I do. And that's a psychological thing. Kids are not born racist. I don't know any different. That's all a taught thing. It's a learned thing.
Yeah,
know?
you more converge on your interests and you create your interests together.
Yeah.
Like I like swings too. I like slides too.
Yeah, I like ice cream too.
Yeah.
I do still. And so then that brings up a point we were talking about in the last podcast. Candace
Owens.
Owens.
Yeah.
There's a name for it.
Watch
I'm
the
sure.
video or don't.
Or don't. Yeah. A black woman who seems to want to help black people out by hating black people. That's the way I take it. I don't know. I haven't seen all her stuff.
Well, I think that maybe every race needs an couture. I don't know how you say it.
and couture.
I'm not a big fan of her.
I'm not. I like juicy couture.
You're stupid.
I mean, I just like juicy things, and I'm wearing that.
Juicy.
She's the.
She's a female version of Clayton Bigsby. Yeah.
Look here, he was banging on the hood of the
Yeah.
truck.
It made me also think of male feminists, which I think it's cool. For a female to be feminist is cool, and for you to support your feminist girl is cool. A male feminist always sides with the female over the male every single time, no matter what, and that's a little bit like, man.
That's
You
too
come-
much. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, you just got to be fair.
I'm not saying they deserve a throat punch, but maybe you gotta grow some balls. Like, you can't. I feel like male feminists are the ones trying to bone the girl that they're
Yeah, they're trying to figure out a way in.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out a way.
We don't
in.
blame them on that, but
No.
you know.
And then guess
There's
what?
other ways too.
Yeah, guess what? You're dating the girl now, and you're stuck in that life, you know. And I could get that. You could change because when I first started dating my wife, I went to the mall with her. Most of the time, they just kind of taper off that some, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah. And Candace.
Yes. Back around to Candace. The stats she gave.
Yeah, you look at the whole story and you come to the conclusion. You don't establish a conclusion, read studies, and then pick bits and pieces. You know, that's terrible studying of studies.
It's not solid
It's
truth.
yeah, it's
Like
not.
working
It's
backward from an
misleading.
assumption.
It's very, very misleading. Yeah, exactly. Now you're trying to find something that fits your narrative, and that's the way you should go. Like, if you really feel that way, by all means, do you. You're misleading the people, you're misleading the followers, and eventually you will pay the price, and that will come back to haunt you. And it actually has. If you look, there was a panel. T.I. was like the host. If you know who T.I. is, he's the rapper from Atlanta, and he's very vocal. So he hosted a panel. Killer Mike was on the panel, another Atlanta rapper, and Candace was on there, and she had a bunch of stats about how the system wasn't set up for minorities to thrive. If you needed government assistance, they made you kick out the head of the household. I'm putting it very bluntly, but this is basically what the rule was. If you needed government assistance, you could not have a two-person household. So that's where the whole single moms came from. And she's quoting stats in there, and they're good stats, and she's telling the whole story for the most part. But now if you look at her more recent stuff, that was probably, I think, 4 years ago when she did that.
That was just recent.
Yeah, so she hasn't really been on this side too long. So if you look into her background, she kind of does, she does gymnastics. She flips and flops to what benefits her. Is she wrong for that? In my personal opinion, yes. If you have foundation and this is your thought process, you should stick to that. Stick to your guns. Even going back to the Drew Brees situation, he said what he said about kneeling at the flag, and I would have respected him more if he would have kept that stance. Me being a veteran, I don't really care if you kneel at the flag, stand for the flag.
Same here.
Like
Same.
that is what
I'm
you
not a
believe. So stick to that. That's why I can respect how they carry themselves between Cap and Breeze, how they carry themselves through the situation.
Like Kaepernick.
Yeah, Kaepernick. So I refer to him as Cap because I feel like saying his long last name. But I respect him more on that he stood his ground. Now you can disagree with the message. That's something totally different. But how they
don't extinguish the process.
Yeah, like
you give in an area for somebody to vent, and he takes a knee, and then you take that away from him. What do you expect if they're not allowed to kneel?
Yeah.
No, he wasn't saying I hate America.
Not at all.
He was saying I want America better.
He took the knee to be noticed, and then once they asked him, because he was kneeling like 3 games before that. Somebody noticed it, and they're like, "Why are you sitting down and kneeling during that national anthem?" And that's when he took his stand.
Yeah.
That's when he let me know. It took that for him to get noticed. If he was just to stand at the flag, nobody would have noticed anything, and he wouldn't have had a platform to speak, and he probably would have gotten in trouble for bringing that up during an interview without that question
for
being
sure.
asked.
Yeah. One thing I would like to bring up is
Got in trouble for nothing.
people say you can't make
Well, you know.
political statements at your job, but when you're entertainment, you have some leeway and you take a chance when you do it. It's not like when you're a cashier, you're telling people. You can use your platform a lot of times and get away with it. People feel a responsibility whether your platform is small or big, especially if you're big though. Your platform is large and national. I think it's up to the employer and the employee to figure that out. But I'm not sure that there's any gesture he could have made that some people would have even allowed, whether it's kneeling or something else. If he lifted a pinky when he put his hand on his heart, someone would have had a problem with that if it meant the thing they don't want to deal with.
Yeah, but they took a stance on that whole idea. Him kneeling down meant he hated America. He was unpatriotic.
So anybody that wants improvement to America is unpatriotic. We just have to be like, oh, it's perfect.
Exactly.
Which is crazy because I remember when Obama was in office, I remember a ton of so I have a bunch of friends from the right, the left, whatever. I don't really care about that stuff, but they did. And I remember a bunch of Facebook posts coming across my feed is, Obama's not my president. Obama's not my president.
Yeah, but he is.
They totally forgot.
But yeah, he is, right? Like,
You live in
can't take
America.
his title from him.
Yeah.
But now that you see a certain individual say, oh, Trump is not my president. Those same individuals that posted that same rhetoric 3-4 years earlier now are like, oh,
Trump's not
he is your president because of this, and
I
this.
got you.
But just 3-4 years ago, they were saying the same rhetoric.
thing.
They were saying the same thing. So it boggles my mind. People
Cherry picking.
Yeah, exactly.
There's that. I think I even talked about this before.
Going back to Candace Owens, that's what she's doing. Is cherry picking.
And people don't compare. They don't see that they change. They hold people to one standard and then they change their whole standard when someone else comes in.
You can't see the forest from the trees.
And I think with
So you can't see
stats
what
and
you
science, I
smell
think
your own shit on your knees.
yeah. I think stats and science.
You can smell your own shit on your knees, though.
Yeah, you
Marilyn
actually can.
Manson was wrong.
Yeah.
That's like the closest.
That's another episode.
Yeah.
I think we should all try to use the scientific method. It was like you come up with a theory and you try to prove it wrong. You don't try. If you're always trying to prove your theories right, you're gonna always end up finding what you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. Trial by fire is true trial.
Yeah.
If you're looking at
What's the opposite of trial by fire?
trial by ice,
Cotton candy, sugar and spice.
sugar and spice are not always
everything
nice. The way to truth is to skepticism. You know, that's
Skepticism,
absolute-
yeah. Even on yourself.
on yourself. Yeah.
You have to approach everything with some sort of skepticism, or else you can just find one article that, if you do a Google search on anything, let's say you have a preconceived notion about anything. As soon as you find one article that aligns with your thought process, no more research needs to be done.
Yeah.
Now you're reaffirmed in your thought process.
In
Because
your
you-
thought process.
In your thought process.
Yeah.
Because you found one article that aligns with your views.
Yeah.
Like
What's
we
it
were
called?
taught.
Cognitive. There's cognitive dissonance when you will not accept any evidence to the contrary of what you've already, your preconceived notion. There's another one where you handpick stuff that agrees with you. That's some other cognitive.
Yeah,
something.
and then if you don't agree, you just block that person. You just like
Even when I listen to a speaker that I like, I sit there and I try not to just let all the information come through unfiltered. I go, I like this dude. I have to consciously say, I like this dude, and let's think critically about this as I would if it was somebody I didn't like.
I'll tell you what, every time I go to buy anything at all, I look at the reviews, and the first ones I'm going to read it. If there's a bunch of 1 stars, I want to know. If everybody's in alignment, yeah, I bought it and it broke, the table leg broke, and the next one, the table leg broke.
That's a good point. Yeah, if you want to dislike something, look at the 1-star reviews. If you want to like something, look at all
Look
the
at the
5
5
stars.
stars. Yeah.
But you
First
should look
10,
at both.
somebody-
Really.
Yeah, you should look at everything. The 5
Yeah.
through 1 star. So the
Yeah,
5
look
4
at it
stars
all.
and the 2s.
But where do you start? I start at the 1 star because
So do
the
I.
first 10 5 stars is some dude that works at the company.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the 5 stars, it's great. Like, all right, that adds no value.
Yeah. Oh, this is the best table I ever bought.
I wanna
Bitch, you
know
had
what-
the table for about a week. You don't know. I want to see those 3 years later. It's like, table's still good.
Yeah, I start with the 1 stars me personally.
Yeah, same. So we all start with the 1 stars.
Because we're trying to find out.
But sometimes I look at the 1 stars and somebody just goes, I ordered blue, but I don't like the blue. And so that doesn't mean anything to me. If I'm ordering blue, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that's
blue.
fluff.
Then when you see a bunch of it lasted a week, then that's when you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I said, bitch, you had the table, I wasn't being a gender. Just don't want to
It
get
could be a
bunch of
male or
listeners.
nothing.
Yeah,
it was a
there's
male
a bunch
bitch.
of dudes that are bitches.
Yeah, it was the
Or it could have just been a dog. A dog bought it.
Yeah, I think we can get more into the meat of the stats on another podcast, but I think this is like an introduction to the mindset of how to find the truth.
Well, we talk about the philosophy of things, but I'm not a numbers. Artists are traditionally bad at numbers.
Yeah.
You're a businessman. You're a little better at numbers. And
Bolo's
Bolo,
electrical
engineer.
And all
he
the
knows
trains
he knows
run on
math.
numbers.
He knows math that I can't pronounce. So we know our limits.
Glad to have Bolo on. I ambushed him with this. He came over to visit, and I said,
Caught
"We're
him
doing a
off guard.
podcast."
Oh yeah, I remember all the
Let's
all
do
the
this.
stats.
So we blocked the door and put on the recorder.
Yeah, got kidnapped. You got kidnapped too because it's almost
I gotta
4
get to my class. Yeah.
So let's wrap it up. Thanks, Bolo, for joining us.
Thanks.
All good. Thank you
Hopefully
for having me.
we start making this a regular thing. Yeah. And then we got Dave, Cousin John, signing off from the dirt.
Later.
The altar, she supposed, and on it was Hector.
Is the throne empty? Is the king dead? The empire unpossessed?
Off with his head.
You got me going in circles.